Hello, my lovely geometry students. We are going to start Chapter 3, Section 4, Equations of Lines. We're going to write an equation of a line and solve problems by writing equations. We're going to begin with making this chart in your notes. Go ahead and pause the video, write down this chart. Okay, so you're going to be given some different information about the lines, and we're going to be able to write some equations from them. So when you're given 2 points, we learned this from last section, what are we able to find from 2 points? We are able to find the slope using the slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that is on your notes from last time. So the example would be we would place 8 minus 4 on top and 5 minus 3 on the bottom. And we end up with 4 over 2. 4 over 2 here. Let me write this. Get my iPad working. And we end up with 2. So we need to make sure that we are simplifying our fractions. That was one thing we needed some help with from yesterday. Okay, now what happens when you're given a slope and a y-intercept? Remember, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So this graph crosses the y-axis at 5. We're going to use slope-intercept form. It's y equals mx plus b. So when you set up the equation, you're going to put your negative 2/3 in for your m and your 5 in for your b. And then that's your answer. That's your equation. Now what happens when you're given a slope and a point? Well, there is such a thing called point-slope form. Okay? And I will erase those little dashes there. I don't know why they're there. There we go. So that is y minus y1 over, equals m times the quantity x minus x1. So when we plug those values in, we're going to get y minus 2 equals 4 times the quantity x minus a negative 3. We're going to go ahead and take that step further because that's kind of messy and we want y to be by itself. So we can go ahead and distribute, use our rainbows here. So we have 4x. Now this minus a negative becomes a positive, so it's going to be plus 12. And then we still have y minus 2 over here. And we can go ahead and add 2 to both sides. And then we end up with y equals 4x plus 14 would be our equation. So that's what we would end up with. Alrighty, so let's practice this. So suppose you're given m equals 1/2 and a y-intercept of a negative 1. So you're given a slope and a y-intercept. Use slope-intercept form. So we have y equals 1/2 x minus 1. And that's your answer. Now if you put plus a negative 1, that's fine. I'll accept that as well. So what about this next one? You're given a slope and a point. A slope of 5 and a point of 3, negative 2. Pause the video, see if you can write an equation. You should be using point-slope form. So when you set this up, you will have y minus a negative 2. I'm just going to go ahead and change that to plus 2 equals 5 times x minus 3. So go ahead and simplify this all the way down to make it y equals. So we're going to go ahead and distribute 5x minus 15, and then we still have y plus 2 on this side. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. If I can get my iPad to work here. And then we get y equals 5x minus 17. So notice I take point-slope form all the way down to slope-intercept form. All right, the next one. Pause the video here, see what you can come up with if you can write an equation given 2 points. Okay, so you should have been able to identify that you could find the slope from these 2 points. When you're given 2 points, you can always find a slope. But now, how do we write an equation? Well, now that we have a slope, we are given a slope and a point and a slope. So what are we going to use? That's right, we're going to use point-slope form. So we have, and it doesn't matter which point you use. I'm going to use the 2 positive ones. So we have y minus 9, because that's my y value, equals, my slope is 3/4. And then in parentheses, I'm going to have x minus 8. So now I can go ahead and solve for y. So if I distribute the 3/4, I can have 3/4 x, and then a negative 8 times 3 is a negative 24. A negative 24 over 4 is going to be a negative 6. And then we have y minus 9. So I can add 9 to both sides. Excuse me. Add 9 over here. A negative 6 plus 9 is going to give me a positive 3. So my final answer is going to be 3/4 x plus 3. And you can go ahead and box that up. And there you go. So if you have any questions at all, rewatch the video, write them down, email me, add them to the blog, because I'm sure there's other students that had those same questions. I really hope you guys wrote down the examples, because that's what I'm going to be looking for, and I'm really excited on Monday to do some fun activities with these different equations. So again, questions, write them down, email them, add it to the blog, and we'll get those answered for you. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.